I review and take a look at hundreds of shoes, some great and others terrible, or so I thought at the time. Because here's 5 shoes that I was completely wrong about. Starting with the Adidas AE1. Now look, I don't think anybody's gonna argue that Adidas has definitely put out some questionable sneakers in the past. The Anthony Edwards basketball shoe just kinda struck me as something that was trying to be a little bit more futuristic, but just ended up being a lukewarm sneaker. And I didn't even intend on actually picking this pair of shoes up until a bunch of you guys were saying I need to try them out. So I did. And boy, I was wrong about these. After getting them in and trying them out for myself, I'm pretty much convinced that these are some of the best basketball shoes you can buy for casual wear. They do have that futuristic look with the rubber cage that moves over the upper and all of those holes all over the side. They have a super stretchy ankle area while at the same time being great for giving your foot lockdown once you're in. They're even very comfortable with a full-length Boost midsole, which is almost unheard of at this price point of about $100 to $120. Typically, Boost cushioning is reserved for Adidas's more expensive models like the Ultra Boost or Yeezys at $180 to $200 plus. But somehow they managed to put it in this pair of sneakers and still keep the cost down. The line between performance basketball and lifestyle sneakers has been getting more and more blurred recently, because not only are more people wearing performance basketball sneakers a lot more casually, but even brands are seeing this and positioning their performance basketball sneakers as something that you can wear casually. And I think these are one of the better examples of that. I think it's a pretty tough sneaker to beat at this price point especially. So yeah, overall, very glad I did end up getting them in the end. Right, next is a pair of shoes that I really feel like I'm not going to be alone in being wrong about. It's the Air Jordan Spizy Glow. Okay, so if you don't know anything about weird fusion Jordan models or Spizikes in general, you might be thinking to yourself, what the hell am I looking at? Well, this sneaker is basically exactly what it says on the box. It's a mixture of a bunch of popular Jordan models. So this specific one is a combination of 5 different popular Jordans, all just mashed together into one Frankenstein sneaker. Now, last year we saw a lot of leaks of a ton of different Spizy Glows that Jordan brand was going to try and push out this year. And immediately when I saw these, I was apprehensive to say the least. I mean, especially given some of the abominations that came out of the fusion idea from Jordan brand. But sure enough, once I got them in and tried them out, I actually think they're pretty dope. Personally, I really like this Houston Oilers colorway, the super light blue, but I understand that that's not going to be for everyone because it is a pretty loud option. And this technically is a brand new model for 2024. The original Spizikes were the high version. This now just lowers it down a little bit to honestly feel a little bit more like a mid rather than a low. But I do like these a lot more, especially because they removed that kind of Jordan 5 puffy ankle area. When you're wearing these on foot, they feel a lot more like a pair of Jordan 3s or Jordan 4s. But what makes this sneaker even more appealing is the retail price at $160, which gets even better when you realize that all of the other Jordans that are in this pair of shoes, like the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, they're all like $200 to $210. And these are not sacrificing quality by any means. They're all very comparable in terms of quality to what you would find on a pair of 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, you name it. Honestly, I don't know if these are necessarily going to be the next big thing for 2024, but all I can say is that people are not too happy about the prices of Jordan sneakers going through the roof, and for a more affordable option, this could be something that people tend to opt for. Speaking of shoes that people have tended to opt for more and more is the next one that I was wrong about, and that is mules. Man, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, whenever I saw someone walking around in freaking Birkenstocks or whatever, I was like to myself, that's cringe. In my head, not actually out loud. That would be pretty horrible. But you know what I'm saying? Like every time I saw those things, I used to think like, what do you think you're better than us wearing these leather mule slip-ons? What, you can't just slap on a pair of Yeezy slides or Nike Benassi slides? Long story short, I really didn't like the idea of mules. And I also thought that they would be super uncomfortable because, I mean, you're literally walking on a cork midsole. Have you ever felt that? It's rock solid. But all of this was until I got my first pair. And if any of you had the same opinion as me and didn't like mules, all I gotta say is they will grow on you in more ways than one. First of all, just having a slip-on pair of shoes that you can kind of dress up a lot more, at least, than a regular pair of slides is a pretty big deal. Also, the hard footbed that I thought was going to be super uncomfortable actually kind of molds to your foot, so over time it feels super comfortable. Overall, I'm 2 pairs deep now and I'm loving these things. And I'm not necessarily talking about any specific brand, Birkenstock or whatever. It feels like every other brand is making something that just looks like Birkenstock. So honestly, you could kind of just blindfold yourself and pick a mule and you'll probably get the exact same thing. All right, next is a pair of sneakers from a brand that you may have never heard about. This is the Flowers for Society Radical Low OG. So the story behind why this is on this list is because basically I'm pretty apprehensive of new brands in general, because a lot of the times they end up just biting off of already established brands. Secondly, it really did seem like a big part of this specific brand was the whole sustainability aspect, which of course nothing wrong with and oftentimes great, but I've seen the whole sustainability aspect used as a marketing tool one too many times. A brand that uses all of the right buzzwords in order to sell their product just to have that sustainability factor is an easy way of marketing. So going into this pair of shoes, it had a lot against it. I was not hopeful that this was going to be a great pair of shoes by any means. They also had a lot of pretty big claims about them being incredibly comfortable. And well, you guys know what I'm about to say because they're on this list. When I got these things in, I'm now not only super excited about this specific pair of shoes, but the brand as a whole. Now, I always really liked the designs of these shoes. That's kind of what made me try them in the first place, and they've got quite a few different options on their website. I believe they are a relatively new brand, but what really excites me about this company is the fact that they seem to be pretty ambitious in terms of their ideas. They're even coming up with a pair of shoes that has a detachable cage, which will act kind of like a phone case, but for your sneakers. Now, I don't think that this has actually dropped yet, but it does just kind of show that they are trying to come up with something new and refreshing, which honestly is always something I'm pretty happy about because the sneaker industry can oftentimes get a little bit stale, especially with all of the retro designs. Now, the sneaker I have is actually pretty damn comfortable. I don't know about all of the crazy claims that they have made being like the most comfortable sneaker in the world, but it definitely surprised me when I got them in and walked around in them. And even though as of right now, I've only tried this specific pair and the other ones could be more comfortable, I'm definitely open to the idea of picking up some of the other models as well. Right, for the last one on this list, you guys are gonna think I've gone to the dark side, because it's a pair of Uggs. Hold up, before you start judging me, just hear me out. I'm specifically talking about the Uggs Tasman Hybrid sneaker. Yes, the insanely popular, sold out everywhere one. Now, first off, I want to make it clear to you guys that I have never really been a fan of Uggs at all. I've never liked the way that they look particularly. I've definitely never owned a pair. So when I saw Uggs in general, and specifically this model blowing up, I just thought it was kind of one of those trends that would, it would fade away pretty quick and people would forget about it. So look, okay, I bought a pair just to see what all of the hype was about with this pair of sneakers, and it was actually pretty hard to find one because again, they're sold out everywhere. What I gotta say is don't try these unless you're prepared to never take them off again. It is soft and warm and cozy and just a perfect pair of shoes for the winter time. They're basically house slippers that you can wear anywhere. Like the inside of these things, there's literal fur. So when you just slip your foot in, you're like, cool, I'm staying here for the rest of the day. And then to top it all off, the midsole, despite it looking like this firm piece of rubber, it's actually super soft and incredibly light. So when you're walking around in these, that midsole is super cushioned and soft, making these things easily one of the most comfortable things to put on your feet, especially during the winter time. Now, I will say one big caveat to this pair of shoes is that it's not as versatile as a lot of other options. Obviously, it is mainly going to be a winter pair of shoes, or, spring or fall. And it also looks a little bit weird when you're wearing shorts because they are quite big and chunky. So I would say they do kind of look best with a bunch of different longer pants, which again, to be fair to them, you can wear jeans, you can wear joggers, you can wear pretty much any long pant and they'll look pretty good. The rugged outsole is super well done. And I like this pair so much that I even bought a pair for my brother's birthday, who has now joined me on the dark side. He loves them. But one warning though, they are a little bit tight specifically to get on your foot. Like that opening isn't that massive, so you potentially might want to go a half size up if you've got wider feet especially. But other than that, I was definitely wrong about these, so I'm very glad. I like to keep an open mind. So let me know down in the comment section what sneakers you've been wrong about in the past. And if you want to catch part 1 of this video, just click over there.